Hey guys, thanks for coming. I'm Nick, and this is Real Life Money, where we talk about topics that schools do not. So let's get started. In this video, we're going over 5 tips on how to retire early. So some of you might be graduating soon or already graduated, and you might have landed your first job. So good for you. So you might have been there for maybe a year, maybe 2. So you're like, yo, this sucks. I got to do this for 40 more years? Hell no. Now when this thought enters your mind, you're like, why would I want to do that? So you ask yourself, how in the world can I retire early? So this video is for you guys. Now yes, there might be other tips out there that can help you out, but these are my 5 tips for the basics. So once you understand that, you'll be good to go. Starting it up at tip number 1 is realizing that it is possible to retire early. Now here's the thing, many people might think of how great it can be to retire early, but actually don't realize that it is possible to do it. So following these tips and having a plan and dedication will make you do it. If you are failing to plan, then you are planning to fail. So check it out, guys. Millionaires don't just start out as millionaires. They start from $0. Look at people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, or even older. And not all of them, but some have a lot of money. Why do you think that? This is because they save their whole life. This just doesn't happen. You don't just happen to have $100,000 or $1 million one day. You build up to that amount. This is not the lottery, guys. You just don't hope for the best, put in like little to no effort, and get this huge amount in the end. You have to do something for it. What the lottery is, it gives you false hope. People could be playing the lottery their whole entire lives, hoping to win this huge amount of money. Is it possible? Yes. But chances are it's not gonna happen. So people with not only the lottery, but with their own lives, they continue doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect different outcomes. That is actually the definition of insanity. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and thinking it's going to change, you got to take control in your life, guys. You need a plan and stay dedicated to that plan to achieve what you want. Moving on to tip number 2, which is saving and contributing to, let's say, a retirement account. Pop quiz, guys. What do you think is the number 1 reason why people don't have enough money to retire? I'll give you 3 seconds. Go ahead. Think about it. Time's up, guys. So, the answer is actually very simple and interesting. It is not because they are choosing the wrong investments. It's not like they're questioning, oh, should I go into stocks? Should I go into bonds? Savings accounts? CDs? It's none of those. It's because they're not doing it. They're not contributing, putting money in to their retirement account. The different investments is not the number 1 factor. If you're not saving anything, it doesn't matter which investments you choose because you're not saving it. This moves on to tip number 3, which is saving early. Like now. As in right now. Doesn't matter how old you are. Start now. Now, these are no groundbreaking ideas, guys. The fact is, the simplicity of these things work. Many people say they don't have the time or money to do it right now, or they'll set it up later. No! Hell no! You make time, because later will never come. Do it now. Now, the earlier you start, is actually the secret to wealth, and it is called compound interest. What compound interest is that when you get interest off of money, you put it back into the investment and it gets more interest. So that original interest gets even more interest the next year, let's say, and then even more interest gets added onto the previous interest, and it keeps growing exponentially. Now that is the word of the day, exponentially. You play that on Words with Friends, you get a bunch of points, especially if you got that triple word thing going on. You got the X in there, you kick your opponent's ass. But here's the thing, with compound interest, it starts out very slow because in the beginning there's not much interest. As time goes on, it exponentially grows like that. This is the secret of how everyone and anyone can become a millionaire. So guys, down in the description I'll leave a link to a compound interest calculator. I don't know who this is from. I just typed in compound interest calculator and it was very, very simple. It only has 4 sections. The factors are your starting balance, your interest rate, your additional investment or contribution you put in per month, and then how long you do this for in years. So with this calculator, play around with the numbers a little bit. To get you started, let's start at the first one, starting balance. You could just put $0. Let's say you have not even a dime to your name as of right now. Now for the interest rate, I use the average return of the stock market. Now a very conservative interest rate or return of the stock market per year is 7%. I think last year it returned like 9%. So if you want to take that average, let's say 8%, go for it. So quick side note, I do have another video talking about the basics of the stock market and explaining it a little bit. So I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to check out. So we have a starting balance of $0. The interest rate is, let's say, 8%. And now we have additional savings or investments every single month. So let's say you put $200 in per month. I say this because that's $50 a week. That's like not going out to dinner maybe once, twice a week. It's possible. It's not that much. And finally, moving on to the last factor is how long you do this for. So let's say 30 years. You could adjust these however you want, but if you're in your 20s and you put 30 years, that'll bring you to in your 50s. Now you could hit calculate on the link that I'm talking about and it'll show you the results or how much money that you'll have after the 30 years and also give you a nice graph to look at showing you the exponential, word of the day, exponential growth of that. The specific amount that you'll have with these numbers is around $300,000. So that's not bad. I'll take it. I wouldn't turn that down. But these are just simple numbers, guys. You could play around with them. You could change how much you contribute each month. And you could play around with the number of years you use. Now, once you increase these years, you'll see at how fast that could actually grow. Just for fun, instead of using those 30 years, I switched it to 50 years. And you'll have $1.5 million for not going out to dinner once or twice a week. So play around with it, guys. It's kind of cool. But moving on to tip number 4, investments to choose from. So the basic investments to choose from would be stocks, bonds, or even something more safer like a savings account, money market, or even CDs in your retirement account. But there's something called risk and return, and they directly affect each other. So you got mac and cheese, peas and carrots, risk and return. If you want more mac, you're going to need more cheese. If you want higher returns, you need more risk. So the most risk that we're talking about here, guys, is the stocks in the stock market. And again, I have another video talking about the basics of the stock market and explaining a little bit. I'll leave a link in the description. So we're looking for high returns, guys. We want growth to retire. We want to grow our money. So when you combine the growth of the stock market using compound interest, just growing that over time, you'll become one wealthy son of a... And finally, moving on to tip number 5 on how to retire early is living below your means. Here's the thing, guys. When you live at or even above your means, you are spending everything that you get or even more. If you are spending everything, there is nothing left over to do anything with, especially to do anything with retirement. If you're making 50 grand a year and spending 50 grand a year, what are you left with? This isn't complicated math, and as you see through all these tips, hopefully they opened your mind a bit, but they're not complex. They're so basic and simple, but if you use them correctly, they work. This is third grade stuff. Go to their math class and ask the kid, if you have $5, can you spend $6? Even the kid might smack you. You have to stay disciplined and monitoring your crap. Not literally, unless you have a problem. You monitor the stuff that you do. Children spend aimlessly. And I'm saying this to snap you out of it and wake you up, but it's time to grow up. So now as you live below your means, it's actually easier to retire as well. Because if your expenses are lower, then you actually need less money to support those expenses. The less money that you have to save, the earlier you can retire. Simple concept, but when I thought of this, it blew my mind. Quick, stupid idea. If you have no expenses, you could retire now. So guys, those are my 5 tips on how to retire early. So hopefully this opened your mind. You can start doing this for yourself. So like and subscribe if this helped you out a bit. This is Real Life Money. We talk about real life and money because schools don't, and we have to deal with personal finance whether we like it or not. So, quick shout out to Joe who gave me this video topic idea, how to retire early. I'm doing this so we can't complain about it later. So, if this helped, maybe you could share it so it could help someone else. And let me know what you think in the comment section if you want. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.